What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I hope everybody had a good Christmas. The reason we are watching Jesus here at the Last Supper, enjoying some bread with his friends and apostles, is because I just had it on. It's the holidays, and I am still having an issue with my screen recorder. So, like, the only thing I'm able to do is record my voice, and then the second I go into another app, it shuts down. I don't know how to find that. There's like 500 screen recorder apps. Maybe somebody could recommend a good one. I just need a good old fashioned one that allows me to go to ESPN. But yeah, since I switched phones, it's just been maybe it's because it's from one Droid to another. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, haven't been able to get the same screen recorder back. I imagine by next week I'll be able to figure it out. Anyway, yeah. So I'm just gonna go into the picks like I did last week. Figured I'd put something on in the background, and I figured it was kind of fitting. So anyway, had it on anyway. For today's 4:30 game, and normally I may have waited and just thrown this, but I think this is a really important game, and I'm not gonna lie, most of this year has been riddled with me making the same mistake, kind of assuming they're going to keep teams in it, keep these playoff matchups close, things of that nature, and then it just seems like they're actually locking in these playoff teams so early. So I'm taking okay, there's no way they're going to knock the Bengals out, and they do. No way they're going to knock out the Chiefs this early, and they do. No way they knock the Cowboys out, they do. Lions are playing Bears week 18. There's no way they knock the Lions out, they do. So, but you have to accept at some point that there's a pattern here, and with that, I really wanted to take the Texans because, my logic was, if the Texans lose, it keeps more teams in it, yada, yada. So then I was like, well, that logic sucks, so let's go with the Texans. But now that I look at it, I don't care. I know there might not be 100 stories of teams coming back and yada, yada, but I think there's going to be at least one. And I did look at the Week 18 matchups, and the Chargers do play the Colts. The Colts do have a 1% chance of making the playoffs. And I was never into the Rivers story, but it doesn't take much. What it would take would be the Chargers to simply win this game at home, where they are favorites. It's like 1.5, though, so you can almost take it as a straight-up money line. And then and we'll go into the other one, it's for the Jaguars, I believe. To lose to the Colts or something like that. And then Colts actually play Chargers final week of the season or something like that. So it's very much a case of, or I think they played Texans, last week of the season. So it's very much a case of if the Chargers win essentially just this week, as do the Colts, that final game of the year with Rivers, who... It would be much, much more interesting, I'm not going to lie, if he was playing the Chargers, but him playing the Texans to get into the playoffs. And that would open up some other interesting things, like perhaps maybe him playing the Chargers in the playoffs at some point. So anyway, for that reason, even though it has not worked thus far this year, I think just because it's basically the only one we have left, maybe outside of Bucks versus Panthers, as far as a Week 18 matchup to get into the playoffs, I think it makes perfect sense for the Chargers to win this. So I'll take them to win, and of course cover the. I think it's like 1.5 is what the spread is right now. Then the next one we have is that's tonight. We have Ravens Packers. I'm not gonna lie, that one I kind of want to just stay completely away from. I don't like any of those. I'm gonna pick one, but I'm just saying I can see it going either way. I will say Packers, just because I don't see much love for the Ravens. Normally I'd say Ravens because then it could be them or the Steelers in the final week of the season. But I think they're establishing the good teams and just knocking out the bums. So they'll knock out the Ravens being the bum. And I feel like I'm kind of late to this pattern, but it makes sense. Probably make the Steelers look really good in their game. And then it's more established versus, a bunch of teams that people kind of know aren't going to do anything once they make it. So I know it's late in the year, but at least it's before the playoffs. I'm kind of, deviating from the logic that they're going to have every single team, or at least a handful of teams in the hunt. They'd rather establish basically a playoff bracket where any of those teams people will believe is a Super Bowl team, and they've done a great job, especially in the NFC. So not to be long-winded, but I do think normally I'd go Ravens in that matchup. I do think the Packers are going to win because they're still considered, I believe, like a good team, and they did lose Parsons, so I don't think they're going to do anything crazy, but I do think they're going to wind up finding a way to win this game and making it interesting. So I'm going to go with the Packers here. They are 3-point favorites. I will take them to cover that. And then, like I said, Cardinals, Bengals, like the ones like that, I'm not really sure like what to do with. What I'll say is on that one, just because they do have the Bengals after getting mathematically eliminated, suddenly doing okay. So, and Burrow has been looking good. So I'll take the Bengals at home here. I'll say they do cover the 7 points. Steelers, Browns is very, normally I'd say it's a trap, and because of Shador and all these different things. But honestly, I think they're going to get, fire Stefanski, the coach. So it makes sense that they just lose out, if I'm being honest. And I normally say Browns because it keeps the Ravens in it, but they haven't been doing that stuff. So probably a close game. It is 3 points. I'm going to say Steelers win and Browns cover. I do think Steelers are going to win by 3 points or less here. Saints, Titans, again, a complete 50-50. I'm going to take the Titans as underdogs just because I think they are behind Cam Ward, and to do that, you kind of have to win. Jags, Colts, again, I kind of went into a lot of these like beforehand, so I think but obviously I like the Colts. I think it makes sense for the Rivers story, as well as, again, making Week 18 really interesting for Colts and Texans. Bucks, Dolphins, I'm going to go Bucks just because I think they're going to wind up playing the Panthers for the division. And I just think also they're better, if I'm being honest. It's 5.5. I'm going to say they cover that just because when the Dolphins lose, they lose big. And I think what they're going to do is I think they are going to pull the plug on McDaniels, Tua, or maybe even both. I'm not sure. But I think they're definitely going to wind up pulling the plug there, if I'm being honest, just because it just doesn't seem like the fan base or the league's pushing them right now. They pushed McDaniels for a bit, and they're even talking about Campbell even, being in jeopardy. So I think McDaniels is gone. Patriots, Jets, this is an establishing game in my opinion, meaning the Patriots, I think, are going to just stomp the Jets. I think the Jets are going to get a top pick in the draft, and they already have a couple first. Patriots, again, I think they want to establish them as a very, very good team. They've had a couple close wins. 13.5-point favorites. I say they cover this easily. Seahawks, Panthers, I would like to take the Panthers. I could see the upset, but again, since the Seahawks are in the playoffs, Darnold hasn't looked great. I think they're going to have him come out and really just cook the Panthers, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to say Seahawks beat the Panthers very decisively, covering the 7, which will set up Panthers, Bucks. Giants, Raiders, I'll take Giants. I just think Raiders might get a bet. I've been saying that for a bit now. With the Raiders getting a top pick makes a little more sense. And I think as long as Dart's in, the Giants are going to look okay. They should have beat the Commanders. I did pick the Commanders, but they kind of sold that game, the Giants, which I'll take. But yeah, I'll say the Giants do get this done, and I'll take them to cover the 2.5. The Raiders are just a new level of bad. Eagles, Bills, another really interesting one. And on that one, I'm really 50-50. I am going to go Eagles again just to establish, because they're winning the division. They're already in the playoffs. So I don't think you want 2 weak division leaders, being the Eagles and Bucks or Panthers. And I think it's going to be Panthers. But yeah, I think you want them to look strong. Beating Josh Allen makes you look really strong. So I don't think many people will be on the Eagles at an even money line. So I got Eagles there. And then finally we got, for today at least, we got Bears not today, for us tomorrow, Bears, Niners. I'm going to roll with the Bears. And it's a simple thing with the Bears. It seems so obvious, and I feel like the week I really do it, which this week I'm going to go nuts on it, and it'll probably be the week that it doesn't happen. It's free money, and my friend does this literally I want to say 4 or 5 times. She's just waited for good odds and like plus 500. Seeing that Caleb is very likely to come back and win. And yeah, I would recommend doing that, playing it live. But even the plus 140, I'm liking. That's what they're right now. And at some point, they'll probably be plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 600. So yeah, I think the Bears win. Caleb gets that comeback. And they have a good chance. I said from the beginning of the year, actually, these are my two teams in the NFC Championship, which I don't love because they usually wouldn't play them this late in the year if they're going to replay again. But I just think it's a great matchup. So it's not a coincidence. It's prime time, week 17 either. So it tells me from the beginning of the year they knew Caleb was going to be pretty darn good, Ben Johnson, and this was probably going to be a banger. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears in this one and preferably say take Caleb for some kind of comeback if you can do it live. And finally, we got Rams, Falcons. This one's an interesting one. Again, these are all establishing games in my opinion. So I don't think there's going to be, I think we're going to have the most, if you add up the collective wins from the teams in the playoffs, you're probably going to have the highest winning percentage of all time this year. And I think that's what they're pushing. I wish I caught it earlier, but I'm starting to notice it. I mean, Broncos, Patriots. When you have like the Seahawks and they're like not even considered a unanimous top 3 team, there's obviously some crazy teams this year. So I think that's what they're doing, which makes sense. But again, these are things that we don't notice in live time. And they weren't doing this in years prior. Years prior, it was like they would make it interesting all year. Now it's more like wrestling, where it's like they're booking it like the road to WrestleMania, where they're establishing, like, as we get closer and closer, the obvious teams, even if it's going to eliminate a bunch in week 15, 16, because it just makes the Seahawks, the Rams, the Bears look that much more formidable. Not that they aren't already. I just think the way they book these games aren't a coincidence. So yeah, that's all of the games. I kind of wanted to get this out quickly because I think today's is one of the ones I like the most. So yeah, I wanted to get that out for today. And then yeah, obviously there's more tonight and tomorrow. But after looking at it with the Rivers story, I think the Chargers have to take this one. So yeah, I hope everybody had a great Christmas. Happy New Year, although I probably will have a video out before then because I do want to do a playoff video. I figure I might as well wait until at least today's over and then tomorrow, because we're basically going to, I think, have playoff locks at that point outside of maybe seedings. So I'll go into all that, and I hope you guys take care.